spokesperson for Endow America, where you invest in you and your community. We are all about endowing America, and endowing America will mean we'll also improve the way the world operates. A better America and a better way of dealing with our finances will help everybody all over the world because it makes us a better partner. It makes us a better help friend. It makes us a better caregiver with regard to everybody. And caring is about human kindness. Human kindness is about caring. We have a lot to do together, and we want to do it in a good and fashionable, experienced way. And that's something that you can do when you work with an advisor who understands how to use the sections of the tax code that we use, Section 664. These are integral parts of financial planning. They're very important for you to understand. And if you don't understand them, ask your advisor about them. We suggest that you start with your advisors because they are the ones that can help you best in dealing with the sections of the tax code that are so important and so vital to the future of our country and to yourself. Endowing yourself and improving your own life is very important. It's something that you have control over, and you can use tax-favored devices to do that. And when I say we're improving the world, it's interesting because around the world, we have other advisors who do something similar, things that we do here in the United States. My guest today is Amanda Cassar, and she comes to us from Australia. And directly from there now, how are you, Amanda?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show.
Yes, and it's good to have you. What is the financial planning like in Australia? That is very interesting to me. I know that you wrote a book where you've interviewed quite a few of the, I guess, the people who have made it in Australia and around the world.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit of background about how you started that project and what is the work that you're doing.
Sure. So the book was that idea that everybody wants to write a book one day, and I wasn't sure whether it was going to be, a fictional romance, bodice-busting novel or something that I knew probably a little bit more about, which was financial advice. And there's a lot of books already out there that are about how to do a budget, how to get the best out of your insurances and investments. So I'm very fascinated by the people side, and I wanted to know people's stories. So I interviewed people who are surviving on Social Security money and government pensions, right through to multimillionaires who are running companies or even not-for-profits and charities, and also financial advisors, to hear their stories. What did their parents teach them about money? Have they had massive setbacks? How did they overcome those? What sort of a legacy or information would they like to pass on to their children? So the book is a series of 18 different interviews. One lady was very frank about her story of financial abuse, which took me massively on a rabbit hole to find out a lot more about that. And I've written a course now for advisors to understand and be able to help people who are coming through and out of those situations. So financial advice is an incredible profession. It's given back to me. Australia's been through massive legislative change in the past few years. We've had a royal commission, which is a very British thing to do, into the conduct or misconduct of some of our large banks and financial institutions, which is, as these things do, turned the profession on its head. So gone from probably not heaps of regulation and legislation to being completely over-regulated to the point of stupidity, where, it costs so much more now for the consumer to receive advice that now it's time to undo that and find some sort of balance in the middle. So like most countries, we do battle with the regulators and try to find that perfect balance where we're helping our customers, but not at a huge cost that is going to make it prohibitive.
So we have a massive debt in this country, almost $33+ trillion. And it's one of the things that we're trying to correct with a system that the actual government gave us, but nobody knows about. Do you have that similar problem in Australia? Is the cost of the government so excessive, or is it more conservative than the United States?
it's much more conservative than the States. We went into I think you call it the global recession, about 2008. We called it the global financial crisis, in a very, very healthy position. And our big four banks were also in a very healthy position. So we were able to sort of ease into that a lot more easily than some of the other countries. And even though we have gone back into debt, again, we were in a position of surplus at the time, thankfully, we have gone back into debt now in the last 10, 12 years.
Has COVID had that big an effect on you as well? As I know it was very restricted there in Australia.
Yeah, look, poor old Victoria had probably one of the largest and longest lockdowns on earth. So I think we're struggling now. There's a lot of mental health issues in some of the young children. Some of the government initiatives were that you could take money out of your retirement savings account. So the impact that will have very long term, especially young people who are just raiding their accounts because they could, up to 10,000 Aussie dollars to take out. The compounding effect of that over the long term can take tens of thousands of dollars out of their retirement savings. So there'll be the impact of that as well.
Is that a government program, the retirement plan? Is it like our Social Security in the sense that in the United States, you can't get to that money because it's going into a general account that is controlled by the government? But is that different in Australia?
Yeah, it is. It's more like your 401ks where people can contribute to their retirement. The government mandates, currently it sits at 11%, that whatever your wage is, your employer needs to pay an additional 11% into an account of your choice. So we have the different fund managers. We've got the Vanguards of the world, some of our local ones, MLC, IOOF, where you can choose where you would like your funds paid into and what sort of investments you'd like in there, whether you're very conservative or super aggressive and high risk. So the government mandates
it. Is that mandatory, Amanda?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the employee has to do that, but the account is controlled by the individual as opposed to being a massive government program in a sense.
Yeah, our massive government program probably is Medicare, where 1.5% of everybody's wage goes into a central government account that provides our healthcare system, and the wealthy have to pay an additional 1% surcharge if they don't have private health insurance. So a very different system to what the States runs.
It sounds a little bit better because you have a lot more. Is there a restriction on the amount that an individual can put into their retirement plan?
There are, yes. Each year, if you're going to be claiming tax deductions on the money, you're only allowed a total of $27,500. If you choose not to claim a tax deduction on the money, you are able to put in $110,000, and that money won't be taxed when it goes into the fund.
So that money is not taxed while it's in the fund and growing. When you take it out, is that money taxed when you take it out?
No, it's not taxed on the way in. The earnings are taxed at a maximum of 15%. And usually it's untaxed on the way out if you meet the conditions of release. Usually you have to be age 65 to be able to touch it in full and do the withdrawal. Or there's concessions if you choose to turn that into a pension account, then it becomes completely tax-free forever.
Interesting. It's a little bit better than what we have. I'll tell you, we've got some real problems. Yeah. So do you
Whatever you do, it's complicated, Les.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what's true about all financial advisors are very important, especially these days in the economic world that we're living in. And the fact that everybody can get a lot of information doesn't mean it's good information, but they're getting a lot of it. And so it's very important. Yeah. As a guide, that's a very important thing.
I think the danger of too much information is, we have social media groups now based on, look, I read this book, let's all have this discussion around the book. And the book may be a great idea about how to get in touch with your finances, but then people will come onto these forums and ask questions. And I think for the most part, people have really good intentions when they provide the answers, but some of the answers are so wrong and so dangerous because they don't have the financial wisdom and knowledge to be able to answer it correctly. And the people aren't providing a 30-page discovery document. They're asking a 2-sentence question. So it's very difficult to provide, a comprehensive or correct answer in one of these settings. So people who do think that it's okay to jump on Facebook forums to have your finances or financial questions answered, please be very, very careful and view financial advice as an investment, not a cost. It's not an expense. It could save you thousands by paying for professional advice.
Yeah, I saw you participate in the FPA That's a pro bono opportunity for you to help people? Is that what that is?
Yeah, we had two head bodies over here, the AFA, which was the Association of Financial Advisors, and the FPA, which is, as you have there, the Financial Planning Association. And they've recently merged to become the Financial Advisor Association of Australia, or the FAR. And both of them are not to be confused with the Flight Attendants Association.
Yeah.
So they both had separate charitable things. So the AFA had one where they would assist clients with MS who'd been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So I was in a pro bono program for that. And the FPA had the Cancer Council. So I was able to assist and volunteer. So on the other side, they manage our ethics. They are a disciplinary body. They provide, ongoing education. So that they are the new pinnacle for advice groups in Australia now.
Where are you located in Australia?
I'm on the Gold Coast, which is Queensland, so East Coast, about an hour south of Brisbane.
Nice.
It's kind of the Florida of America. Lots of retirees, golden beaches, far too much humidity, no gators, but...
My guess is Amanda Cassar, right?
Cassar, yes.
Yeah, Amanda Cassar. And Amanda's an author and a financial advisor from down under. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Amanda.
Hey folks, it's Charity here. It's time for our weekly powwow. Have you had enough? Have you had enough of all the fighting, the bickering? Really? Really? No, really. It's time to come together, folks, and we can do that with the power of love. That's E squared. Remember Einstein? He talked a lot about power of energy and E squared. Forget about the math part. Bottom line, everything is love. E squared equals energy. It's love, the biggest force in the entire universe. And on planet Earth, it can mean lots of things. For now, let's go with endowment. With the tax code 664 that Congress actually put together in 1969, it's an alternative to build your retirement income and income for your favorite charity. We can do it ourselves. No need to rely on the government. Put on your big girl and big boy pants. Endow yourself, endow your community on the road to human kindness. And that's the power of love. Squared.
And we're back. My guest is Amanda Cassar from Queensland, Australia. What's the city?
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast. Okay. I've been in Australia. I was in Melbourne and Sydney a long time ago, though. I don't know that it's changed that much. Maybe it has.
Closer to the Great Barrier Reef, we are.
Yeah. So is charity a part of the planning process? Does the government give tax deductions for charitable giving in Australia?
Yes, if a registered charity has a DGR or a donor gift registered, anything over $2 is deductible to those different charities, yes.
Oh, okay. And do they have provisions like we have where you can set up a trust, make a gift to charity later on and get a tax deduction today and get the income from it? Is that something that they have there?
They're similar. I think the mechanics of it are probably slightly different, but we are able to do philanthropic trusts and leave those to the charities of our choice over time while they can still continue to grow. Yeah, absolutely.
And they can get it. Can the individual get income?
I believe so. I would have to do a bit more checking into how that would be taxed and if it's set up as a bond or just within a trust, because there's different tax rulings depending on how you structure those arrangements.
So in your practice, do you practice? I mean, do you do that you do it for a living, right? You're a financial advisor for profit?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, okay. And I noticed that you also are very supportive of some nonprofit organizations that you've actually been on trips to Africa. Tell me a little bit about that. That must have been quite an experience.
It was, yes. So the largest networking group for women in business in Australia is called Business Chicks. And they had an arrangement with a not-for-profit called the Hunger Project, which is a global charity, also based out of the US and Sweden, and partner with countries who need help getting out of poverty. So what resonated with me about them was that it was about a hand up, not a handout. Because I mean, I think we've all seen where people have the best intentions, go in and do some work and leave, and it actually makes things worse. So the idea of education and helping people to get themselves out of poverty, working on mindset, really appealed to me. They run workshops called Vision, Commitment, and Action, and that's very much what advisors do, where once you sit down and ask, what is your vision for the future? What do you want to achieve? Yes. We put the plan together. That's your action plan. And now it's like, well, are you going to commit to that to achieve what you want to achieve? So it was just this perfect alignment for me, where also with these charitable groups, it's like, well, the government's never going to come to your aid. Your family's never going to have any money. The charitable organizations aren't going to come to your aid. Stop waiting to be rescued. Are you okay to start learning how to do this for yourself? The old, if it's going to be, it's up to me. So I just love that. I signed up for a trip to...
That's sponsored by a nonprofit. And so when we talk about changing the world using charitable devices and using charity, we really mean it. I mean, if we can endow America the way we're talking about endowing America, and that carries over to the rest of the world where people can benefit by endowing themselves and endowing charities, we've made a possible cure for a lot of issues that are in the world today. And that's the kind of work that we're looking at.
Well, it's beautiful to see people who go, you know what, I'm okay with this. I'm going to take the dive, do the lessons. And, you know, it could be starting raising chickens. It could be starting raising pigs. It's a micro business in agriculture that you no longer have to break rocks 8 hours a day for $1. So when these women or families start doing this, they in turn then go, well, we've got extra chickens, we can help the next person. Or here's an extra piglet, you grow a piglet and, you know, we can. So the community benefits so beautifully by having these arrangements. So I got so excited about it all. I did Uganda in 2015. I went back to Malawi in 2016 and got India in 2019. So I sort of fell a bit in love with that. Charity for me till then had sort of been, you know, you give your old clothes to the local thrift shop, and that was about it. So it was very, very eye-opening, that's for sure, to have to raise $10,000 each trip for the charity, plus cover all your own costs. But the leadership lessons from these people, this grassroots movement of, changing your mindset and getting yourself out of poverty
it's a beautiful thing.
A lovely dose of perspective that I probably sorely needed.
That's really good. So when you were interviewing the folks for your book, you were interviewing all classes. Was there something that was common amongst all the classes that you would say was a human trait that carried over?
I think one of the main things is every single person you ask, what did your parents teach you about money? The answer is always nothing. But then you dig a bit deeper, and there's all these, I suppose, unspoken or unsaid lessons. It might be money doesn't grow on trees, or you've got to go to school, work hard, get a job and save for a rainy day. Or one of the really strange ones was only really bad people get ahead. If they've got a nice house, they've done something wrong. So I think examining all these belief systems that we've had, I suppose, in our very formative years when we're not even sure what our beliefs are, and we just carry them through because it's what we've always thought. You know, when two people come together as a couple, we don't sit there going, right, so what did your parents believe about money? What did they teach you? You know, what are our goals together? You know, you might talk about, do you want a baby?
Absolutely.
But we're not talking about how do we plan our financial future and what weird stuff do you believe that I don't believe? So it's a really beautiful time to be able to sit there and go, okay, what did I hear? Do I believe that? Was it a scarcity mindset that we were taught about, you know, there'll never be enough, we have to hoard, we have to hold on to things? Or was it, you know, money's abundant, it's energy, it just flows, it comes and goes? So, I mean, I'm not saying any of these ideas are right or wrong. I'm just saying let's examine what they are and see if they still serve us and if they are in our best interest, and do they clash with our partners? So is it time to have those discussions before it gets out of hand?
Yes. So, is financial literacy taught in the schools at all?
No.
Not a bit. No. And why is that?
Stupidity? I think we've got this education system that still seems so Edwardian. It was back in the colonial years when Britain was out conquering the world, and they would send these very A-type people out to run these countries. And I don't think our schooling system has really been revisited to, how can we get along? How do we learn to invest? How do we run a family budget? As much as I love my Shakespeare, is that more important right now than learning how to do claims on your Medicare, or making ends meet, or how do we spot a scam, or all these kind of things that are life skills?
Well, does the word budget come to mind? How do you? I had a meeting a couple of nights ago with a young couple, and I gave them the two things that I give every young couple when I start to work with them. I gave them a blank financial statement for them to fill out and a budget. And the wife said, "I'm not filling out a budget."
Well, it's got that connotation, doesn't it? It's your eyes glaze over. It's boring. I'll never. Yeah, I'm gonna
have to tell them everything. I'm gonna have to tell them what I spend my money on. And she was focusing on manicures and shampoos and things. I mean, it was like a strange thing, but it's a very strange time we live in a sense, because money is the issue with everything. Income is the issue. People need income. They have to live on income. And they don't recognize that you have to be able to accumulate. You have to be able to save. They don't teach that. And I think that's a real failing. And I guess I'm not surprised that it's all around the world in a sense.
Yeah. And we're not taught that we need to provide for our future selves. And we're going to have massive issues with longevity. All my grandparents have lived well into their 90s. If I retire at 65 and live another 30 years, how is the little bit I've put away over 40 years supposed to last me for another 30? Governments aren't going to be wealthy enough to continue to pay, a living wage for pensioners forever. There's not enough people in the workforce to cover the amount of retirees we've got. So are we doing things now that our future selves are going to thank us for? And most of us probably aren't, because many are trying to make ends meet. There's no way they're going to be putting away. But we also do make really silly decisions in the moment. That handbag looks really good right now. Well, that dinner, we deserve it. We've had a big week, night at the pub or out for drinks with the girls, I just need to let my hair down. So there's so many decisions we make in the moment, impulse every day, that our future self is not going to thank us for.
So what advice do you give to your younger clients about accumulating money? What is the thing that you think is most important for them to take away from your planning with regard to that?
I think one of the most important things is know your numbers. Like when you sort of ask people for a budget, they're like, well, I can't do that because my income's irregular, or I never know how many shifts I'm going to get. And I'm like, I don't care what your income is. Right now, you need to know what it costs you to live each week. If you've got your annual bills or your weekly or your monthly, put them back into how often you get paid. You need to know, does it cost you $467.23 per fortnight or $1,927 per fortnight to live? Only then does your wage or your income become relevant, because once you know what's going out, then you go, well, you know what? It's really cool. My income does cover that and I've got a bit left over. Not sure right now where it's going, or wait a second, I'm living really beyond my means. Right now I have to make some hard decisions. I either need to increase my income significantly or seriously cut back on the expenses. So it just gives you, I think, power to make those decisions. So, finances really is boring. It's very basic, very cliche. Do your budget, know your numbers. And I think somebody recently put it beautifully about do for the next 2 years things that nobody else is prepared to do, so that you can live like nobody else lives, in the future. If you do make those hard decisions now, you will have the benefits long term.
That's a very good thought. And on that thought, I want to thank you, Amanda Cassar, for being our guest today on Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness, and in Endow America, where I believe that you can invest in yourself and invest in the community, especially if you use proper planning techniques. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Les. Been lovely to be on the show.
Hey folks, it's Charity here. Philanthropy meets financial gains in the inspiring space of donor-advised funds. Tax Code 664 provides a perfect opportunity to both reduce taxable income and make charitable contributions through real estate donations. For donors, liquidating difficult-to-sell property while providing valuable assistance to nonprofits is made easier using this tax code. Heirs can benefit as well. So whether you're trying to save money or help your favorite organization aid its mission statement, look no further than giving creatively under Tax Code 664 for beneficial results all around.
Thank Amanda Cassar for joining us from Down Under. And very interesting, Australia has a social security system, but it's actually controlled by the individual as opposed to controlled by the government. We have been, obviously, income is a very important thing to plan for. Longevity is an issue. You have to be able to make sure that you're going to have the income that you need to live on and sustain your lifestyle for as long as you live. That's the objective. It's great to know that you can retire or stop working, let's put it that way, working for a living and live on your assets and do what it is that you want to do. That's the beauty of planning properly. Get to the point where you can do your genius, where you can do something you love to do 24 hours a day and never get tired of, as opposed to working very hard for a living and things you don't like to do. That's what the goal is. And I think, the Gen Zers have that concept now. They understand how it is to live their life and enjoy life while they're working. But it's important that you have income. And income can be generated using the social security devices. Section 664 is a very powerful tool, as well as the other sections of the code that give you the social security. The way to earn income, the way to create income for later in life using very favorable tax planning tools. And those are tools that government wants you to use. That's why they put them there. You have the ability to reduce your income tax. You have the ability to eliminate capital gains tax and to avoid estate tax. So you don't really have to worry about taxes if you plan properly, and you can maximize your assets by using these devices. So it's also important with regard to longevity. You want to look good. You want to feel well. You want to stay well. Somebody living today is going to live to 130. That's what they're projecting, maybe 140. There's no reason why you can't live longer as long as you're healthy. And part of that, of course, is feeling good about yourself, feeling good about the way you look, the way you feel, and getting up in the morning and being able to be happy because you're not aching, you're not sore. And part of that is your own wellness, body rejuvenation. I want to switch hats a little bit and go to my Chamber of Commerce president hat. I'm president of the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce. And we welcome you again to join as a chamber member. We're having an event tomorrow morning at the Moe's. We're having breakfast there at 8:30. If you want to come, that's October 27th, Friday, October 27th, tomorrow morning at 8:30. It starts at 8:30 in the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce breakfast meeting at Moe's. And we welcome you there. Our cost of joining, by the way, the chamber is very reasonable. It's $350 for basic membership for a business and $150 for good citizens. Individuals can join and become active in the chamber and become active in the community as well. We think the chamber and Endow America work together very well. Chambers of Commerce are nonpartisan. They have been around for a very long time, and their interest is in building the community, and we are too. We want to build the community by creating endowment for the nonprofit organizations that serve the community and make everybody's life better. But also, I want to tell you about Body Rejuvenation. They're a member of the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce, and they're having a beauty and wellness party. That's on Thursday, November the 9th from 4 to 8 p.m. The location is in Hallandale at 100 North Federal Highway. For those interested, call Roberta at 954-532-8580. That's 954-532-8580 to be part of the Beauty and Wellness Party on Thursday, November 9th from 4 to 8 p.m. This is an opportunity for you to network if you're a chamber member, if you are someone in the community that wants to find out about beauty and wellness. This is an opportunity to do it for free and find out about Body Rejuvenation, one of our very, very popular members. Again, I
hope that you will think about planning. Talk to your advisors about how to use Section 664, how to use other sections of the tax code that can help you plan your income for the future and then plan how you're going to help the community in the future. It's invest in you and your community. Endow America. We'll see you again next week. Have a great week.